police cars all over the place, marksmen with rifles. Boom! Just this door just flies off the hinges. Hands above your head, don't move, get on the fucking ground now.
And similar to you're saying with Tekashi, because he got 500.
Yeah, there's a lot of people on YouTube right now talking about Tekashi, and they have no idea what they're talking about. Even the hip hop channels.
50% of the prisoners today are in because of drug charges. That's what changed the war against drugs. When you were in, did you see some guys who were like, that guy just doesn't belong in here, you know?
The justice system is a business model. If you go to trial, it costs the state hundreds of thousands, millions. They want everyone to sign a plea bargain and go over to the prison system, just to bow down. If everybody exercised the right to a trial, the system would collapse. It couldn't afford to do all the trials.
You're going to prison. How was that like?
You sit in the wrong place, it's all over. I was at the point where I was about to kill myself in the jail. It got so rough. It was one of the lowest points of my life.
So today we have an interesting guest with us, Shaun Attwood. Just to kind of give you a little bit of background about him, they call him the ecstasy kingpin. They called him at one point the Bank of England. He sold a lot of ecstasy in Arizona. I don't know why are we talking about ecstasy today on Valuetainment. He was deported from the States December of '07. He has not been there since. But his business operation was 200 employees reporting to him at one point and ran it like a real company back in the days when he was doing this in Arizona for 4 years. And so I'm excited about taking a different angle with him because a part of it we're going to talk about his dealings with Sammy the Bull Gravano, Mexican Mafia, you know, what it is to be in prison, how do you kind of position yourself when you go in. But also at the same time, I want to talk about some of the, you know, rates of people going back into prison, what some people can do to avoid making bad decisions for that to ever happen. And when you do come out, what can you do to never go back? And so having said that, Shaun Attwood, thanks for being with us here in Valuetainment.
It's a pleasure, Patrick. Great to see you here in London.
Your story is very interesting, I got to tell you.
Thank you.
So walk us through, before you became, you know, you got into this world, who was Shaun Attwood in high school?
Decades before bumping heads with Sammy the Bull, as a teenager in this country, I didn't grow up with much money. But when I chose economics in my high school, only 6 of us chose it. The teacher saw I had an aptitude for it. He started giving me classes on my own, explaining the Financial Times, all the numbers, how the stock market works. Then when I was 16, I went to my dad for money to invest. He told me to bugger off. I hit my nan up and she gave me £50, like just under $100. And I doubled it, first day of dealings on British Telecom shares. So I was hooked.
At 16?
At 16,
wow.
Telling all my mates in my little town, I'm gonna go to America, make $1 million, fly all you guys over. That was my dream. Yeah.
So from there on, so at what point did you make it to the States?
Okay, so I went off to college, did A-levels, did business studies at uni, and then headed out to Arizona because I used to visit my aunts there as a kid, and it really dazzled me, the lifestyle in Arizona.
Arizona dazzled you, the lifestyle in Arizona?
I'm coming from a little chemical manufacturing town in the Northwest.
That makes sense.
Planes coming in, you see the swimming pools in the backyards.
Well, yeah, I get it. By the way, let me ask you, personality-wise, high school, were you the good grade? Were you the good kid? Were you the popular kid? Did you date the hottest girl? Were you the athlete?
No, I was getting beat up by the rugby players. I was one of the last to grow in size. I had anxiety. I almost got beat to death by some drunks, and that compounded my anxiety. So when I went out to clubs and stuff, I wouldn't dance. I was too self-conscious. I had this shyness. When the rave scene began, I took ecstasy, wouldn't stop dancing all night long, wouldn't stop making friends with strangers. And that became my crutch. For over 10 years, I'm doing drugs. People seeing this wild and crazy party animal. But I was self-medicating for PTSD from almost getting beat to death by these drunks.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
And how'd you get introduced to it the first time? Was it just you went to a club?
Yeah, what happened was,
you to ecstasy?
In this country, in the 1980s, to get in a club, you had to dress in a suit and tie, and it was very snotty, like snooty. They wouldn't let you in the bouncers if you weren't dressed right. The kids were sick of it. They started breaking into warehouses, breaking into earthplane hangars, wearing all this coloured clothing and taking ecstasy and just dancing all night long at these illegal parties. So it was like a revolution in music.
It was suits back in the days going to nightclubs.
Yeah, in the 80s. And the kids were sick of, you had to line up and the bouncers would look at you, and if you're not dressed right, you're not getting in. So we were like, F that, we're just going to start doing our own thing, breaking into warehouses, airplane hangars, wearing all these psychedelic colours, baggy jeans, British night sneakers.
British night sneakers. Oh my gosh, I remember those. So this is what year, by the way? This is what year would you say this is? Late 80s?
This is late 80s, early 90s, because I went to Arizona in 91.
What happens when you go to Arizona? I know you got into the stock market yourself. How did that happen for you?
So I arrived in Arizona as an illegal alien. Got no work
Illegal
visa.
alien.
Yep.
Okay.
Just got my student credit cards. So I'm now in a race against running out of money on my student credit cards to make money. Join a brokerage and quickly learn it's commission only. They tell me I've got to do these classes for months to get my Series 7. I said, I haven't got time to do the classes for the Series 7. Put me in for it right now. And then they said, well, all right, we'll take a chance on you. It was like, the guy running it was like a mafia kind of guy, had his mannerisms. I think they were hooked into the mafia, this penny stock outfit it was that I just got that's how I got my foot in the door.
Penny stock outfit,
yeah, like
similar
Wolf
to
of Wall
Jordan
Street.
Belfort. Yeah,
exactly
he was also penny
same.
stock.
Smile and dial, mirrors on your quad. You got to be pacing with a 25-foot curly cord because pacing, smiling brokers make more sales. You're only as big as your numbers are up on the board for the month. Exactly like Wolf of Wall Street.
And that's the world you came out of.
It was a baptism of fire. I quickly realized what they were doing. So talking about power moves, me and another rookie broker, we realized these guys were just putting people in chop stocks. We got some newspaper articles about them, photocopied the entire accounts from the entire brokerage. We were sneaking at night, photocopying all the accounts. We jumped ship to a more stable outfit and took all of these accounts with us.
And so what happened then?
Well, they were threatening to, the guy, the boss, the threats were getting issued and we went out and bought guns. Yeah, they were threatening to blow up my partner's car, some of these guys, yeah.
I mean, it's a competitive world if you're doing that. So late at night, you're getting all the files, the clients, and you're calling them with another place.
Yeah.
But you're still doing penny stocks.
No, when we moved, we saw what those guys were doing. So then we were like actually trying to make our clients money by putting them into stocks like Motorola. We had the brick cell phone out and stuff like that, Intel.
So how well did you do?
People wanted to do high risk investments, taking these clients over from the penny stock world. So what I looked at was America West Airlines junk bonds. They were trading 10 cents on the dollar and they went back up to par. Yeah, so I did really well on them. Didn't sell them at par, but sold them at 100% return. Motorola was another good one. Because of the brick cell phone, they were doing great as well. They were going up consistently. And to the point where my commissions, I was grossing $500,000 a year in commission 5 years in. I was the top guy in the office. I had enough money to retire from it, but I was starting to get back into the party scene. And I was thinking, do I want to go in the rat race and get up at 5 in the morning, 6 o'clock in the morning sales meeting, or just make money from the party scene? And that excitement and greed took over.
First of all, which BD were you part of? What was a broker dealer?
There was various ones over the years, and the last one was Joseph Charles. It was clearing through Bear Stearns.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay. Were you ever with a Morgan, Merrill? Were you ever with any of that?
Merrill offered me $100,000 to move over to them, and because they wouldn't let me sell short shares, and they wanted me to buy their proprietary companies, I refused.
How did you get into the world where you said, what if I start selling? Was that accidental? Was it intentional? How did that take place?
The rave scene has such a big impact on me in this country. One of the goals I set was, when I make $1 million in America, I'm going to transfer that scene over to the Sonoran Desert. And in the beginning, I am just buying pills because I've got so much money and showing off and giving them away to my friends. This is the transition point now where I'm still in the stock market as a broker. But then I'm seeing, when you give away drugs for free, you attract a lot of friends, and then I'm seeing the business potential of it. The local dealers could only supply, up to 100 pills at a time. Found out they were getting them out of LA, so I thought, as an experiment, I'll buy 1,000 pills, see how long it takes to get rid of these. They were gone in a weekend. Yeah.
1,000 in a weekend?
Yeah.
So what were you buying them at LA for?
All right, so this was before I really knew the full knowledge. So in LA, in the beginning, my first transaction was probably, around $12 for 1,000 pills. And they were going for $25 to $30 in the clubs.
So you're 2Xing them immediately?
Yeah.
So now, were you selling it yourself? Were you moving the thou yourself, or were you having other guys where you sell at 16? I make the 4 on it. I'm talking right off the bat, not once it became a business.
Right off the bat, I've got my business partner, bodyguard with me, Wildman, this huge guy from my hometown. He's like my muscle. And we're in an apartment he's moved into with some other people. and we throw in these parties every weekend, and that was when we brought those 1,000 pills back, and we just sold them all out through that party.
So you and another person sold 1,000 and...
Yeah, people were coming and they'd buy like 50 or 100 at a time, and they'd just take them off to another party. Yeah, and they just went throughout the weekend.
So 12, 25 to 30. You buy it for 12, you sell it for 25 to 30. So what did that weekend do to you?
Well, not all of them I would say went 25 to 30. If someone buys 100, I'm giving them a deal.
Sure, of course.
But you know, I'm seeing this fast, almost doubling of my money, and I'm thinking, I can just be doing this, kicking back, having the time of my life, you know, just hanging out with wild and crazy night people, or working all these long hours, and I sacrificed my slow and steady progress.
How quickly was your transition away from production? You know, was it like, was it immediate? You were like, oh, I can't even be seeing myself doing it. Was it like a 3 to 6 month process?
I was having so much fun, and then going in the office so burnt out because of all of the drugs I was doing. I was doing up to 20 hits of ecstasy on the weekend and throwing other drugs in the mix. Even taking the Xanax didn't recover me properly. I was getting so burnt out because of all the pills and the long hours. I needed to sleep after the partying. The transition was quite fast.
So what's fast? 1 week, 2 weeks, a month? Was it?
I think Wildman, before he got deported and banned for being a menace to society, was in the country for a couple of months. And it was during that, during his visit, was my transition, a couple of months.
Couple of months, got it. So you leave the BD, you're not doing anything anymore. What are they saying? What are they thinking about you being gone? Do they know what you're doing or not yet? I'm sure some of the guys were partying with you, so.
It was such a big deal for me to go from one to the other. I didn't even tell them. And my parents actually called the brokerage and asked where I was. And they said they'd heard my car was found burnt out in Mexico, caused this panic amongst my family. From being this legitimate person to going into this criminal underworld, I didn't know how to, you know, what to say to the BD people, so I just ceased communication. Yeah.
Were there any signs in high school of you doing creative activities where somebody would say, I think one day he's probably going to be doing something like you were doing?
During lunch hour, I would run to the corner shop, buy sweets like pear drops and strawberry bonbons, and run back to the school and sell them for double the price. And I'd also get like dinner coupons for them as well, and get my dinner with the dinner coupons.
So sales, you've been selling for a while.
I've always had a natural sales personality, yeah.
Got it. Even in high school. So you're
even in high school I was an entrepreneur, budding entrepreneur. Yeah.
So wholesale to retail. So now you have this weekend, you tell yourself, I spent $12,000, I bought 1,000 pills, you know, I'm coming back, turning these for 25 to 30, or if somebody buys 100 wholesale, say 20 bucks. This was the easiest 10 grand I made in a weekend with your buddy, your, you know, bodyguard, you know, your security. From there, what are you thinking next? Okay, I can scale it. How soon did you start expanding to a whole different level?
We were getting them out of LA for a year or two, and my demand in Arizona now is so high. These guys out of LA can only provide 5,000 pills at a time. So I figure out they're getting them out of Holland. So I can't leave the country. I start selling people over to Holland with testing kits you could buy from a website called Dance Safe. An ecstasy pill should be 100, 125 milligrams of MDMA and clay, usually like a beige color or a faded color. Often the pills that have got artificial stuff in them are colored, but sometimes the color can just be food dye. But the color is often a heads up. And I was cognizant that if I'm selling tens of thousands of pills, someone could potentially die. It's extremely rare, but it's usually when there's a bad ingredient. So my people took these testing kits and it changes, it goes like a blue-purple color. So nobody ever died off the pills, and they brought back such a pure product. I was getting, you know, known as English Shaun's pills, the Bank of England's pills. It got to the point where the competition with their colored pills was saying, you know, these are English Shaun's. They were trying to capitalize on my brand.
English Shaun's.
Yeah, yeah.
So what was your biggest order you got from Holland?
Biggest order was 40,000 hits on one smuggling mission. Yeah, and this was before 9/11, so don't try this at home if anyone's watching this. But back then, you could just put thousands of pills into your luggage, in pillowcases, or screwed into computer towers, and get on a plane. I had one woman, she got on a plane with pills in vitamin jars, landed at Sky Harbor Airport, got stopped, Customs took her into a room, opened the luggage, put the pills on a table and said, "What are they?" And she goes, "Vitamins." And they said, "Cool, put them back in the luggage." I said, "Have a nice day." Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
So at the 40,000 mark, how much are you paying for them at that point?
At the peak of this now, in the late 90s, my organization is structured like a corporation. So we've got heads of each faction under me, which vary from 10 to 20 depending upon what's going on at that point in time. So we've got 10 to 20 different factions over time. So I'm fronting out now the heads of the organization up to 5,000 at a time, maybe at $10 or maybe $8, depending on my relationship with that person. They then front them out to their middle people at 15 or 20, depending on how much they take. And then they get sold into the clubs and to the raves at 25 to 30. So if I'm bringing in 40,000 at $3 or less, $2, got to add in all the smuggling costs, the transport costs, and the legal costs as well. So if I'm bringing them in, let's say no more than $3, and I'm getting 40,000, fronting them out at 10, $250,000.
Quarter million per 40.
Yeah.
And how much do you remember what you were moving per month? Was it, like, what's your peak month?
So it was sporadic. We had $250,000 months, only like every 2 or 3 months, something like that. But over time, it was 4 years I was doing this, so it added up. I wasn't dealing as fast as Sammy the Bull, but like the 10 people he said, over time, it was more than he dealt.
You ran for 4 years. I think he ran for a year and a half.
Yes.
So you sold more than Sammy the Bull, and at the time he was also in Arizona.
Yes.
Did you guys ever face off? Did you ever have a sit down? Was there any meeting like the Heat scene in the movie where Pacino and De Niro were sitting and talking?
I locked down the Arizona rave scene because I was an early entrant, and it was a lot of competing little cliques. Those little cliques would come to me as the Bank of England to lend money for the parties and the drug deals, whatever. Now, some of those little cliques had disputes, so me and Wildman would mediate those disputes, and in the end, we incorporated all these different little cliques into my organization. So I had the local people locked down. All of a sudden, these new kind of ecstasy dealer started showing up in the club scene and at the raves, like steroid head jocks. You had the Devil's Dogs, these white supremacists, I think they were out of Mesa or Chandler. These big dudes, and I'm like, who are these guys stepping on my toes? So we're all getting really curious because we had no idea where they were coming from. Now, I was married to a woman. She'd done a university degree, but she was also doing lesbian internet porn. She had a bisexual lover, a female, and she said, look...
That you knew of?
Yeah, that I encouraged. And she said, look, her girlfriend's boyfriend is one of these new dudes, and he wants to meet you and discuss business opportunities. So I still don't know who they work for. So I take one of my bouncers with me, Rossetti. He's packing a gun to this nightclub. And my wife, and we go there, and Rossetti hangs back with the gun. They don't know he's with me. The guy, the Spaniard, comes out and he goes, come into the VIP room, I want you to meet my business partner. I go back there on my own. Rossetti slipped back there as well, he's watching me. And then this massive, 6 foot, 6.5 foot plus guy comes out. I'm sat down on a sofa between these two guys.
You're sitting in between these two guys?
Yeah, ended up, the big guy told everyone to sofa to get the out of the area really and leave the room. And we sit down on this sofa. Like I said early on, I'm taking drugs because it makes me wild, but inside I'm this shy, anxious person. But I took GHB going in, and the GHB is hitting me when we're sitting down on the sofa. And he introduced me, the Spaniard and the other guy, Mark, I think the other guy's name was. So I just playfully grabbed both of their knees, right
Big
here.
guy sitting next to you.
As we're sitting down, I grabbed both of their knees. I'm thinking, I'm English, Shaun. I've got a reputation to uphold with these guys. I've got to show them I'm a bit of a crazy mofo. So I grabbed their knees, and they weren't looking at me like I was a bit crazy. They were like, look, Shaun, we're moving a lot of pills, and we know you are. And we know you're locked down with the local people. You've got a good relationship with them. How would you feel about moving pills? Our pills? We'll give you a good price. And I said, look, I'm aware of you guys' pills. They're those coloured pills. I'm getting pills from Holland. I've got a reputation to uphold. I'm not going to mess around with these coloured pills. A lot of them counterfeits made in America. So the Spaniard, he was okay with it. He was calm, but the other guy, he was like, who the do you think you are, disrespecting our pills? One call to Sammy the Bull and we can have you taken out to the desert. Now, I was aware of John Gotti and all that making, news, and I'm thinking, these guys just talking shit, what?
At this point, have you heard of the name Sammy the Bull yet? Like,
From the John Gotti on the news.
But no, I'm talking local Arizona that he's going up against you. So you haven't heard Sammy the Bull?
I think that maybe these guys are plastic gangsters throwing this name out, trying to scare me.
Got it.
But when I got out and told my bouncer, he's like, hey, this is serious now if it is the Bull, because he's murdered up to 24 people.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm high on GHB, and this is starting to sink in a bit as we're going out of there.
So how did that end? How did that end with them?
All right, so it didn't end well because I told him, look, I'm staying with my people and doing my own product. There's enough room for us to coexist, but I will give you guys a heads up. Since you guys have been running around in the clubs and the raves saying you're the biggest drug kingpins since, whatever, a lot of heat has started to come to the scene. Me and my security people are noticing undercover cars with cameras, taking pictures, police coming in, pretending to be from out of town, trying to set up ecstasy deals. Nothing like this was going on before you guys came into town. So they were like, all right, well, Spaniard was like, okay, well, thanks for the heads up. And I said, look, it's not each other we've got to worry about, it's the cops. Eventually that proved accurate.
So let me ask you, at this point, you said you went 4 years, he went a year and a half.
Yeah.
At what part of your 4 was it that he got in?
98, 99, around then, that those guys started popping up into the scene.
99 is when they started popping up in the scene.
I'm guessing.
Okay.
I'm guessing.
Got
Yeah,
it. So
yeah.
you've been going for a year and a half while they pop up in the scene.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you never had a face-off directly with Sammy. There was no.
What happened was, I was getting protected by the New Mexican Mafia, so I felt a fair degree of safety because even with those guys coming into town, the New Mexican Mafia were formidable. I mean, these guys have got a lot of heavy-duty stuff locked down. I'm thinking these guys have got my back. They're more powerful than these guys. The drugs is telling me, you're comparatively safe. But what happened was, my bouncer, when we left that meet, said, how long will the peace last if this is for real? They lured my top sales guy, Skinner, who was moving a lot of product for me, to a nightclub in Scottsdale under the pretenses of buying pills from him, took him into the men's room, knocked his teeth out, took tens of thousands of dollars off him. That was the heads up that things were getting heavy. Yeah, I moved to Tucson after that.
How strong are you at this point? Meaning, how deep are you at this point? Not deep of movers, deep of strength, power, street cred,
Yeah.
enough gangs on your side or the right muscle on your side that people don't want to cross you.
My philosophy always was, if this goes to the violence or murder level, it's a whole new ball game. The police are going to look at us differently and then we're going to get sent down for a lot of time. Yeah, I've got the New Mexican Mafia behind me, but utilizing that is going to cause me even bigger problems in the long run. Just the fact that they're behind me and the people know is enough of a deterrent to give me that street cred and keep the debts getting paid. So I moved over about 100 miles or so away to Tucson in $1 million house on a mountain in a gated guarded community, Sin Vacas, where you couldn't even get into that neighborhood without going through a guard who had to call the house. Bill Banana was up there, and further along the mountain range was Paul McCartney.
Very familiar with that area.
Yeah.
You're talking about Tucson.
Beautiful, most beautiful place I've ever lived in my life.
That's where people in Tucson want to live. That's where the people of Tucson, it's like a dream.
I would go to the mailbox and there would be deer around the mailbox. The lightning would bounce down the mountain off the house. And when there was the rain, a waterfall would form at the side of the house in a little stream. Oh, it was amazing.
So at this point, what do you're by yourself. No one's around. Your wife's not around. Your muscle's not around. Your friends are not around. The party scene's not around. Your wife's girlfriend's not around. No one's around. You're by yourself. What are you telling yourself? Are you telling yourself, Shaun, you're in too deep. You got to figure out a way to get out. Or are you saying, let's double down, let's go to another state? What are you thinking?
I am thinking I'm safe now in Tucson. I've got a right-hand man who I trust with my life, who I know would take a bullet for me, Cody Bates. He's dead now. He was doing the rounds in Phoenix. He had rented an apartment out just for the cash. Only me and him knew where it was. So I don't even have to leave the house now. Everything's just running automatically while these guys are doing whatever they're doing in Phoenix. So I'm just trying to enjoy the money, doing all this crazy stuff. I've still got my security team, my bouncers, but what happened, there was a challenge to my dominance, let's say, when there was a situation whereby my wife went on a mission with one of my guys and they ended up sleeping together. Yeah. So
what happened there?
So we had to set an example there, and to make sure everybody wasn't trying to overthrow me, because even my guy Skinner now, who was my top sales guy, he was smoking sham and crystal meth and crack. And cause I'd moved out of Phoenix power play now, he's thinking he's going to take over my business with this other one of my security guys. And they're spreading words that I'm going down and that they're going to be taking over and that my people needed to work for them. So we had to get that in check.
What does that mean?
I can't comment any further on
Okay,
that.
got it.
Yeah.
Got it. So Cody
Bates.
Right, Cody
Yeah.
Bates, did he, he's no longer around. Did Cody Bates die when he was with you, or was it afterwards? Other incidents?
Cody Bates, the reason I made him my right-hand man and head of the security team was because he didn't get high. So all my friends are running around like lunatics on these club drug cocktails, and he's babysitting people, taking people home, making sure nobody's ODing and stuff like that. When I first met him, he was suicidal, and we were like family. So when we all got sent down, he went back into that suicidal depression, got on heroin, self-medicating. His family sent him to a rehab run by Scientologists. They put him on a drug that had a side effects of suicide, and he hung himself.
At the Scientology Center?
Yeah, hung himself. I wrote a book, Party Time, about all of that, and the publisher, Random House, made me contact absolutely everybody, have them sign legal papers to say it was accurate and they wouldn't sue me and they wouldn't sue the publisher. And what I did was I interviewed all these people on Skype, recorded the conversations, and there was so much more information I'd forgotten because I was so high that I was able to put into the book.
What was the event that led you to go into prison?
I'd actually quit the importation of ecstasy a year before the SWAT team came. I've been married 3 times. I've met another woman. She talked me out of it. And because things were getting so heavy as well, she was like, look, this is really risky now. It's dangerous. The New Mexican Mafia guys, they'd all got federal SWAT team raided. I was almost at that house as the feds came. I was just dropping one of the guys off, actually. Would have got caught up in that. Sammy the Bull's crew got taken down. In the beginning, I'm thinking, thanks, cops, you took out the competition. I should have been thinking it's going to be me next, but the drug scrambles your decision-making processes. It's telling you can get away with anything. This woman talked some sense into me, and it was almost a year later, I thought I got away with it. I never got caught doing a big drug transaction, never got caught speaking about a big drug transaction on the phone, never even got caught with any drugs. But statute of limitations in Arizona is 7 years, so I had to accept my karma cheerfully. 10 witness statements came forward, and SWAT team came May 16, 2002.
How was that?
So I was back to stock trading online. I was enrolled in college.
Oh, you were back?
Yeah, I was trying to live a normal life with this woman now.
Got it.
Yeah, I'm stock trading online. I'm enrolled in Spanish classes at college. I'm up early in the morning because Arizona time, New York time, stock market's open. Mm-hmm. All of a sudden, boots thudding up the stairs of the apartment. And then bang, 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 bang. So I jump up, look through the peephole, it's blacked out. I'm thinking, is it someone coming to rob me, posing as the police, who's found out, or is it really the police? Go to the window, police cars all over the place, marksmen with rifles, more boots coming up the stairs. Go through to the bedroom to my missus. What are we gonna do? Better let them in. Halfway through the living room, I'll never forget it, just boom! Wow. Just the door just flies off the hinges. Hands above your head, don't move, get on the ground now. So you see all those guns open up in front of you. Your heart my heart's speeding up. I feel the sweat coming on my heart, just almost reliving it right now. You see those guns and you're thinking, your life is opening seconds if they open up right now. And they're looking at you like they want to put one in you. So you just drop down real fast and they crush you. And the detective then, after they crushed us, the detective just yanked me up by the cuffs. And he was like, English Shaun, you're a big name from the rave scene. We've finally got you. I'm sure this raid is going to get you big charges. And he's just talking hella shit at me. Yeah, because I had a nemesis in law enforcement.